Cydni Tetro is an innovator of experience, a growth leader, technologist, STEM advocate, author, and speaker. She is also the CEO of Brandless, the president of the Women Tech Council, and a former Disney executive. Cydni, thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. We're very excited to hear your journey all the way from high school through college, through all of your jobs, I'm sure, and what you're doing today. So just to start, tell us a little bit about what was your high school education experience like? Because a lot of our students are in high school right now and they're trying to figure things out for themselves to kind of what are they going to do next? What was it like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I was in high school, there were a couple of things that I really loved. I actually really loved dance, so I did a ton of that. I was doing a ton of business stuff, and I happened to have this opportunity when I went into my senior year to go take a job as an intern to be a software tester. And that was probably like the most pivotal moment that turned me really into STEM. I knew I loved computers, but I wasn't really sure what that meant or like what careers that would unlock. And I knew that I loved what I was doing in business, and I also knew what I loved what I was doing in dance. But this opportunity, when I got to go hands-on and talk to people in industry and figure out what they were doing and like see how my skills applied to working in technology, it really unlocked my pathway. So when I jumped into college, I went on an electrical engineering scholarship and eventually pathwayed over to computer science.
Wow, that's incredible. That's
Mhm.
fun that you figured out
Mhm.
kind of what you wanted to do already in high school. I know a lot of students don't really know what they want to do in high school, but that directly led you into some things in college, getting that scholarship. That's pretty cool. Um,
And I would say I didn't really know, right? All I
okay.
knew, right, is that there was an interesting path that could come out. Because even when you're in college, right, you're still making these decisions. And so I don't really think right? But what happens is you have to put yourself in a place to get experience. And then you get to decide like how that evolves into the things that you're doing. My favorite part about tech is it just enables everything in every area. And so when you get a foundation there, your ability to be creative and innovative anywhere really opens up.
And speaking of the experience that maybe you could gain, does a student get those opportunities? Do they have to just do a bunch of like YouTube research on their own or take classes or whatever? Or were you fortunate enough to know people who kind of connected you for other opportunities like that?
For sure, I was fortunate to have a network that was at the time they were hiring some high school interns to do some QA. It was like the perfect entry in. I think like really recognizing that has also led me to be really aware of what are the things and tools that I can provide other students to really open those doors for them, because you do need people to help open doors. They see you, right, and provide connectivity. We can learn a lot of curriculum. We teach our students lots of things about specific subjects and CTE classes and computer science, and we teach them even sketch programming really early on, or Scratch. But what you need, and this is what we learned from talking to lots of high school girls, is everyone needs a mentor, and everyone needs to see someone else in positions that you can imagine what you become. And so when I think about high school students and I think about the opportunities that exist for them, in all sorts of areas, right? Things that you're doing with what you're creating, things that industry is committed to really show up and mentor. We created an entire high school program for girls just because of this. We knew they needed those pathways and doors open. We think about internships. And so I think you have to do some of the work, right? You have to put yourself in the networks and spaces, but everyone wants to increase the pipeline of talent in tech. There's so much opportunity, which makes it a really pivotal moment in time that really didn't exist even 10 years ago. Like we all want more people in the talent pipeline, and we want them to see their potential in tech.
Yeah, and I'm sure you even want them even as young as high school, but then if not in high school, then in college, and then out of college, lots of
That's right.
opportunities are there for all sorts of people and all sorts of different technological industries and pipelines. Um,
Exactly. Across the board.
across the board. And so then in college, then did you continue this on that scholarship? Did you go through that engineering thing and that was your whole college thing, or did you kind of jump around figuring out really more precisely what you wanted to do?
So I jumped into electrical engineering. I think I did that for like a semester and I was like, I just don't know if this is my thing. Like I love these circuit classes, but I'm just not sure that's where my passion lies. So I decided to switch over to computer science. And I jumped into some of those early stage classes. And then I decided for personal balance that I needed dance. So I ended up with my minor in dance while I did my major in computer science because I liked the juxtaposition between the two totally different kind of creative approaches. The thing that I knew, and then even through my college career, I remember right as I was headed into that junior year, I think it was halfway through my junior year, and it was feeling really hard to finish my degree in computer science. And this is actually the time when we lose lots of students. And I personally even remember like sitting in that moment, and there were one of three women in my graduating computer science class, and just saying like, okay, like, do I really want to do this? What should I do? Right? Look at all the classes that I have left to finish. And for me personally, the thing that I knew I wanted to come out of college with was a skill that I felt was marketable and that I could build from, even though I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like I wasn't really committed to being a developer. But the thing and the insight that I had was I know that tech's behind everything. And if I have a foundational understanding of what that looks like, as I get into my career, it will open doors that I probably don't know today. And those pathways will lead me to something that is really interesting. But if I don't finish and pursue this degree, I won't have the technical chops to be able to do the things that allow me to create. I've spent my whole career creating products and experiences and architecting what those look like and understanding how you build something to go to market in a minimum viable product. And if I didn't have my computer science foundation, I couldn't have had the career that I've had, even though I've actually never spent one day as a traditional coder.
Really? After all that computer science degree, you still haven't spent a traditional day as a coder. That's incredible. That's cool that you just build that foundation and recognize that. That's very admirable, and that's exciting to know that it is possible to recognize those types of things at such a young age. Because I would say college people are still very young, and so even at such a young
Totally.
age, you're able to recognize that. How did those experiences then lead you into your first job? Was it in STEM? Was it in tech? Or maybe was it a little off or something and you kind of came back to tech later in your life?
I've actually always spent my entire career in tech. So when I was in college, I also took one of my jobs, probably for the last 2 years, is I was over the IT center for the help desk and all of the IT infrastructure. So I was doing everything from phone switches to network administration, to all of that when I was in college. And then when I was graduating, I was like, I have no idea what I want to do. Like seriously, no idea. I put my resume in with 100 companies. I did 100 job interviews in my final semester of college. I also had no idea what I wanted to do. So I also took the GMAT and the GRE. And then I
Wow.
applied to grad schools because I felt like I should just open all these doors because somewhere along the line, I was going to learn a bunch of things, right? And so there were companies I interviewed with. I'm like, never working there. Right? And then there's company, and I'm like, I'm never taking that job. I probably will not like survive that. And there are other places where I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I actually had an opportunity. I flew all over the country to all of these different interviews and like still amazing opportunities that I could have taken. It so happened, and then I interviewed even in some local companies in different areas. And then because I'd applied to grad school, it ended up that the same time I got an acceptance to a graduate program for my MBA, I also got some offers from a tech company. And it was in like advanced technical support. So we were hex editing databases of companies. It was very like technically, it had lots of technical requirements to be able to do the job. And I went to them and I actually said, hey, I would really like to take this job, but I also got accepted to grad school. And would you be willing to work with my schedule if I go to grad school and I take this job? And they said yes. And so I jumped in, I spent the summer onboarding, and then I started my graduate program in September. And I really never looked back. So I spent 2 years doing technical support. And the coolest part about that was not only was it very technical, but it actually gave me an opportunity to be customer facing. So I started working with customers, and it gave me the opportunity to travel the world because I became the trainer for the technology infrastructure at all of the worldwide infrastructure. And so early on in my career, I'm like traveling to Sydney, Australia, and I'm traveling to Nice, France, and I'm doing all of these technical trainings with really the world's largest companies. And well, I knew I wasn't going to spend my career in support. The foundation of learning customer facing, being very technical, being able to solve all of their problems. I mean, you had companies with 200,000 users who are calling in and their network infrastructure is down. And so I became, really proficient in that ecosystem. And that led me to say, the thing that I really love is building. I love solving problems and finding solutions and building products that people love and that they want to leverage. That jumped me into a product management path. And then product innovation and development and go-to-market strategies really became my pathway ever since then.
That's pretty incredible. And all of
Mhm.
those things, there are a lot of business
Mhm.
skills in there, not necessarily just
Mhm.
learning how to code and being the back end code monkey, as some people say. Like those are great business
Yep.
skills. So I guess you kind of just learned those because of the technical background you had. You then got into jobs that just inherently taught you those business management skills.
A foundation in tech and a foundation in business, that I would have a really unique pathway with the combination of those skills. So when I pursued my MBA, it was 100% about the combination of those. So I guess I sound like really methodical in my journey. It was not that like methodical, right? And it wasn't that easy. Um, but I just had these pivotal moments where I'm like, I think if I just do this, something's going to happen along the way that I can't tell you what it is, and I'll just figure it out. And one of my life philosophies is like, don't shut your own doors, right? There's many times where we look at things and we're like, we don't think we can do them. Other people have done it better than I. Oh, maybe my GMAT score is not as high as someone else's. Whatever those like things are, we do this all the time. And my life philosophy has been, lots of people are going to tell me no. I'm not going to get all the jobs that I apply to. Most of those guys are going to tell me no. But some of those doors are going to open, and the ones that open, I might not have known about. And so if I put myself in a position with the things I can control, then I'm going to find a path that opens. And for me, that's how I've really taken my approach in every part of STEM. I had an opportunity to spend about 5.5 years at Disney, heading technology commercialization. And the job opportunity for that came in a similar way. It only happened because I had a technical degree and my MBA. There's no other way you would have gotten into the area that I went into. And there was a group inside of Disney called Disney Research. It was created by Ed Catmull after the Pixar acquisition. Really brilliant postdocs and PhDs solving technical challenges of the Disney company over the next decade. I wanted to figure out which ones we could make businesses out of. And my job interview went something like this. One friend of mine and a mentor, he had gone there a few years before, and he calls me up and he's like, hey, Sid, we're thinking of like starting this, but we've never done it before. We don't know really how it's going to turn out. We think it's a really cool thing. We know the initial first projects, but it could be like 3 months, 6 months, a really long time. I have no idea. Hey, would you want to come do this? And I remember at that moment, I'm like, no one else is ever going to call me from Disney and give me an opportunity like this. And so I'm just going to do it. And even if it doesn't turn out like I want, it will be an amazing experience. And so I really have taken this approach of like, I just can't tell you what tomorrow looks like. When something crosses my path, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to be the one who says no before everything like works itself out. And so that's just how I approached even my STEM career. And it's let me do really cool things because of that.
I think that is a really cool approach
Mhm.
to really just taking into life, into your career. Just don't be the one that says no. Let other people say no. Put yourself out there. Take all those opportunities. And lots of people, like you said, will say no. Like a lot of people won't offer jobs, but the ones that you do get to do just lead to incredible things.
Mhm.
And then you're able to be you're able to work at Disney. That's a dream of a lot of people.
It is.
Maybe people don't think to work
Mhm.
in like the Disney management business side. They always think of like Disney World or Disneyland or whatever. But that's really cool. That's really cool. And
But
how
don't
has
worry, our group was an Imagineering, and everyone wants to be an Imagineer. So
perfect,
it's all
perfect.
good.
That's awesome. And so that one, but that's not where you currently are right now.
Nope.
Where did you go from there next? What was your path after that?
So I really have navigated my career around how do you create amazing customer experiences that transform. And as I went into Disney, I gained a bunch of skill set around storytelling and what it really meant to create these immersive moments that were magical for people. And that's what creating product is about, right? You're trying to pull someone in, you're trying to create this emotional experience for them, and you're trying to make them like love what you're doing and add value to them. So that became really a strong foundation ever since then. So when I left Disney, I started a company I raised a bunch of money for that was could make you Iron Man. So we built a 3D printing software platform that scanned your face and then merged you into IP. And we partnered with Marvel and Star Wars, the NFL, Major League Baseball, Halo, Assassin's Creed, like you name an IP property, we probably
Mhm.
partnered with them. And you could scan your face and become a 3D printed collectible. And eventually Hasbro built a toy line for it. We launched at the Super Bowl. We went to all the World Series. We were at Comic-Con. And it was a super fun business. I eventually sold it to a 3D printing company. And then the next company I did was still in the storytelling space. We built this whole sales and marketing platform to really demonstrate how technology changes the customer experience and why, and how, because sometimes we just in tech, right, we sell infrastructure, but it's not about that. It's about what it does for the experience of the people consuming it. So we built a whole platform that rolled out to Verizon's and Adobe and Microsoft and Dell, and we merged that with a company a couple of years ago. And then today I'm running a company called Brandless, which is an e-commerce omni-channel platform. And we've got both the technology infrastructure that's really leading what's happening in influencer commerce. And we also added an aggregation and acceleration. So last summer I raised 118 million, which is actually one of the largest fundraised by a female entrepreneur. And we're using a lot of those proceeds to acquire mission-driven, like-minded companies and bring them into the platform. So today I get to talk to thousands of entrepreneurs about amazing things they're doing, bring them into the platform, and then help them grow really interesting businesses at scale.
That is an incredible process. That is a lot of great work done. That is really cool. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Um, it seems like you've kind of gotten just into the business management side of things. I've talked to a couple of different CEOs of their own startups, and they've said that they kind of lose out on the fun part of what they really love to do, and it ends up just being like business management. Do you feel like you still get to take part in the tech aspect of those jobs, or have you kind of just faded away into just kind of business management at this point?
That's a great question. I would say that because of what I care about, like building companies that have technology underneath them is super important to me. So while I might not spend my day being the scrum master, which I've been historically, right, or writing user stories and figuring out prioritization, I do still get to spend some of my time creatively thinking about the transformation for customer and what technology does to enable scale. So while I don't make those business decisions, sometimes I still architect, right? Because I'm a really good, technical architect with the right partners, but I don't get to do it all of the time. Right, today I get to think about how what we're building transforms and impacts lots of users. And that's still really fun. And when I want my, like technical stuff, sometimes I'm doing side projects like, with my kids, right? We've done everything from building like, programmable LED like surfboards for wake surfing, to recently launching like NFT acquisition sites. So I still, like dive into some of those things only because I care a lot about the tech side.
That is really fun. I'm impressed that you still find time to do the things that you love. Because I know a lot of people just get caught up in the day-to-day of things and they forget to take time for the things that they love. So I'm glad you're able to do that. For students that are looking to be a leader in a technological world, male or female, we've got all sorts of students here. What would you say to them? What advice would you give them? They're just in high school, maybe even in middle school right now. They're just trying to figure out what they want to do. What advice would you give them if they think, maybe I want to be someone like Sid?
So here's what I know. Technology is part of everything. There's not an industry. I don't care what you're passionate about. I will promise you technology is part of it. And so the better that you understand how things are built, how to innovate, the better you can take the ideas in your head and build amazing things. That's why we want you in tech, right? Because we understand what the foundation of the world is, and it needs your thinking and your creativity applied to problems across different industries. 2 years ago, speaking about like, how do I get to integrate tech? I really wanted to show how dance and technology integrated. So we worked with the Ryrie Woodbury, a professional dance company, and Adobe, and we created these balls with accelerometers in them. And then as the dancers danced, a screen behind them would create art based on the color of ball. So if you watched all the dancers, the different device that they were holding, which just looked like a ball to the observers, actually created art behind them based on movement, right? And it created this whole immersive experience based on technology. And seriously, whatever you love, tech's part of it. When I was at Disney, the entire entertainment system is a tech system. We built programmable LED Mickey ear, like glowing Mickey ears that integrated with show control systems. So when you wear them and you watch a show, they light in context of what has been programmed. So like, that's cool, right? It's a
That's
complete
really cool.
entertainment show, right? And so whatever it is that you love, in today's world, tech is part of it. And if you gain that skill, you have a better pathway for career. You have the ability to make more money, to provide for your family, your community, to give back. And so the decisions you make today are what unlock how you can participate in all the ecosystems and the passions that you have. And when you have a foundation, you can merge those two together. You don't get a foundation in tech. The world today is just moving so far that direction that it will create gaps for you. because every e-commerce site you can imagine, and the only way to make your ideas possible is really grounded in technology today.
I think that advice is phenomenal. It's every single industry has tech. You always need someone who knows how to do that kind of stuff, regardless. Like you're saying, in dance, where you'd think, well, dance has nothing to do with tech. It has everything to do with tech,
That's
or
right.
obviously entertainment, or really education. We're literally here doing online education that obviously has to do with so much tech. So I think
Yep,
that
it's so cool.
is really, really cool. I think that is all that we have today. Is there anything like those who maybe want to follow? Do you have a social media, a Twitter, or anything like that that maybe some kids could follow you to hear some things about you?
Totally. Everything is Cyd Tetro, CYD, T as in Tom, ETRO. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. And I am all about championing the pathways of students because they're the future for what we build. And the better that we provide mentors and ecosystems, the more successful we all will be as communities.
Perfect. Well, Cyd, thank you for taking the time again to be with us. This was absolutely incredible to hear your story and to hear your experiences. And I know this video and this conversation here will absolutely inspire hopefully as many kids as we can. We have tens of thousands of students just in my Tech High alone, and who knows who else will come across this. But thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you.